Are you moving but still locked into your mortgage? Well, you might be able to take it with you. Welcome back to Alex Lavender on YouTube. I am joined by Alex Lavender, a local mortgage broker here in Halifax. And Alex, the people want to know, what is mortgage portability? Can you move your mortgage to another house in Canada or in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, it's a great question, Mark. It depends on the lender, but if the lender allows it, then yes. This would initially be in your original contract for your mortgage, but if your mortgage does have the ability to port it, then you can move it over to a new property.
Interesting. Do you see a lot of people who have portability in their mortgages? Like, is this common?
Yeah, I'd say probably about 90% of the lenders offer it.
Wow. And does anything change when you do that? Like, you keep your same mortgage rate, your interest rate, the same number, or can you expand that mortgage? How does that work?
Yeah, it can start to be a little bit complex. So for the most part, you're moving the existing mortgage charge and interest rate and amortization over to the new property. So you're keeping the mortgage the exact same. So if you need to make adjustments to that mortgage, whether you're increasing the mortgage or decreasing the mortgage, then there's adjustments to the port. So like for instance, if you needed a mortgage that was $100,000 higher, you'd do what's called a port and blend, and you would add $100,000 at today's rates and blend that into the rate you have. The biggest reason why people port, well, actually, there's two main reasons. One, to avoid a penalty, because sometimes a penalty can be incredibly big depending on where you are in the term. And the other thing too is to protect a low interest rate. So a lot of the times, like for instance, if the rates today are 3.5% and the rate you're paying is 6% and the penalty isn't that large, it'd make more sense to break it than to port it. If the rates today are 4% and you have a rate that's 1.6, then it's going to make sense to port it and try and hold on to that low rate as long as you can.
Right. So right now, then, where a lot of people do have low interest rates that are locked in, they're not necessarily locked into their house. Then what you're saying is that they can move and bring that mortgage and that nice low interest rate with them.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the port is you can move that mortgage and that rate and continue to hold on to it and move it over to the new property.
And what are the downsides of portability? Like, I understand if the interest rates were lower, you're probably going to want to break it and get a new mortgage. But
Mm.
let's say the interest rates are where they're at now, where you might want to move with your low interest rate mortgage. What are those downsides and or risks to that?
Yeah, the biggest downside is a lot of the times the amortization has to stay the same. So, maybe if you took out this mortgage 10 years ago and it was on a 25-year amortization and now it's on a 15-year amortization, a lot of the times with most lenders, that amortization needs to remain. So, some people may want to go to a longer amortization to get their payments lower. So, a lot of the time that can create a bit of a challenge. The other thing too is the timing. So you need to have a firm sale on your existing home and a firm offer on the new home. So if you don't have both of those things, you can't port it because the lender's not, going to move your mortgage if both of those aren't in place. So sometimes, someone may have their home sold and don't have a new one, and the home may sell, and it may be a few months before they find a new property. Uh, Again, it's really going to depend on the lender and their specifics if they will retroactively look at something, a month or two before. But that could be an issue as well. Is you sold your property, you haven't bought the new one yet, you can't port it. So there are scenarios where you can't even do a port.
Wow. And so if people usually do that, it sounds like that could be a time crunch then, right? Because usually those are like 30-day-ish periods for like selling your home in possession and buying a home in possession. So you're saying within those 30 days, they need to like figure out, can I port this mortgage, or do I need the port and blend, was it, or the port and expand, something like that?
Port and
Um,
blend, yeah.
so are these usually like kind of rushed mortgage applications for the portability?
Yeah, I don't know if like rushed is the right term, but definitely like a lot of like moving parts and I'll doing two approval, well, not two approvals, but trying to get all the parts connected. There are a lot of moving pieces for sure. And the ports can be really intricate as well because there's a lot of different factors. So it's really good to like talk to a professional about it because there's so many different ways to structure it, and some ways make more sense than others. But you also get into a scenario, so like you can do a port and blend, but you may also need to bridge as part of your port too. So like for instance, if the sale date on your home is going to occur like a month after the day you purchased the new home, you can still port it, but you have to do a port and bridge because your home's not sold yet. So you could do a port, bridge, and blend. So it can start to get really complex. Yeah, the most important thing is that you have a sale on the existing home and an offer, a firm offer on the new one as well, and they'll look at porting it together. But that creates a timing thing and can be stressful for people because essentially, depending on how you work it, if you have an offer on a new home, you need to get yours sold right away. Or if you have an offer on your home that you've listed for sale, you need to get an offer on the new property right away. It's rare that you would be making an offer on the new property the same day that you get an offer on yours, and that can create some disparity as well.
When do you recommend that people reach out to a mortgage broker like yourself? Like, how early in this process of portability should they, start talking to someone like yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say before the home is listed for sale, before whenever you're even thinking about it, really is a really good time to do a pre-approval, because you want to make sure that you can qualify for the new home before you go through the process of selling yours, listing it for sale, or making an offer on a new one. So I would say whenever you're ready to potentially make that shift is a good time to chat with a mortgage broker.
So you said that you still have to go through the mortgage application and qualify, right? So someone
Yes.
has to actually go through that full, like, submitting their financial documents, their paychecks, their bank statements. They have to go through that full process before they can find out if they can port their mortgage.
Yeah, so a port does not get you around the requirement to qualify again. So you essentially, whether you're doing a port or not, you have to fully qualify for a new mortgage. So you have to go through the whole process, and it doesn't really matter if it's a port or not. Sometimes the port can take a little bit more time because it just depends how it's being structured. Because a lot of the times the ports are done directly to the lender. So you reach out to them, and it's got to go to an internal team. It just depends on what their service levels currently are. As brokers, we can be there to advise and help, but with most lenders, the port's done directly through the lender because the registration, it's just an internal thing with the lender. They're essentially keeping the mortgage the same and just changing the security it's attached to.
I see. And if someone wants to get started and use Alex for their mortgage broker and porting their mortgage, you can use the link down below this video or reach out on alexlavender.ca.